Well, hello and welcome. Welcome. We are just a few minutes away from starting our yet another endurance race here at Phoenix Racing Club. Today I'm gonna be your sole commentator for the event. Oh, sounds. Please work. Sounds refuse to work. Some cars are broken. So, today we have a joint WEC and WEC WEIMSA event, which is going to be LMP1, Daytona Prototype GTE and GT3 classes all racing together at Sebring International Raceway. Right now we are in the qualifying stage. We have separate quali for the prototypes and for GT cars. Prototypes finished their qualifying already. The Mendes' car is not looking so hot as he parks it. Meanwhile, let's find someone whose engine cells are not broken. Okay. And the final 7.5 minutes of qualifying for our GT field. We have a big field today. We are expecting up to 30 cars to show up on the grid of many different classes. We have a big LMP1 class. We have 2 cars representing the prototypes, and as usual, a whole plethora of GT vehicles. So far, with the results of the prototype qualifying, we see Mr. Grinder over there at 1:43.916, claiming the pole for our rolling start. Just 500 of a second behind him is JK, so this is going to be a close competition at the front row. Gunsis is going to be starting third, so this is our top 3 for our LMP class. Games has claimed the pole for... Try to figure out the glasses. I think they mix up with the color grading, but that doesn't matter. We're still gonna figure out what's going on among all glasses. We are definitely not doing this professionally, so use them as if you want a more detailed situation right here. We can swap this somewhere on this side of the screen, I guess. There we go. That's perfect. They have some information on the drivers. Let's see what's going on here. Here is our McLaren team in his GT machine. The mean, the angry, the vet, the one that's gonna end up in the wall eventually. Going with his qualifying lap, we have a couple of cars in the pits. I see Thun not posting a qualifying time at all, which might be somewhat of an issue. Looks like Tim is so far the fastest of the non-prototypes, which we seem to have 8 on the grid so far. As you can see, I'm not even ready to be broadcasting because I have no idea what's going on. And Tim blows it at the 3rd sector, returning to the pits. He's not going to be posting any quick times. Right now we have a cranker tanker as our focus now in a Porsche. He's currently finding himself in 17th position overall. Let's see if he can improve. We can see some damage on his right front, so he's definitely kissed the wall at some point. Hopefully it's not affecting his aero that much. We have just over 4 minutes left in our qualifying. A couple of people getting into the pit lane. Imadas among them. Zipley is exiting the pit lane now. Imadas is also exiting the pit lane right in front of him in his god-awful pink headlight machine. Oh, that Porsche looks cool if we disregard the headlights. Like, honestly. He's doing a little bit of sideways maneuvering as we proceed. Tim is on his yet another attempt in a Corvette, which does not have sound, so we're not going to be focusing on him too much, unfortunately. Here is Champel, not yet setting the fast lap. There he goes, 13 fastest, and we see just a second, 1.4 behind McLaren team, who I assume is leading the class at this point. Walker is starting his fast lap right about now. We're gonna follow him around for a little bit in a Porsche. Coming through turn 1 right about now. I don't know. We seem to have a somewhat competitive grid as we see both GT classes fitting, well, most of them fitting in about 3 seconds from each other. Let's see if slower GT3 entries will start interfering a little bit with the slower GTE interfering with faster GT3. That might actually be a thing. We will see how it goes. And so far we have 25 entries as far as I can see. I don't think anybody will be joining. I'm monitoring the chats right about now to see what is going on. Maybe we'll have something. We have quite a few people in the chat booth right about now. Communicating with each other. We'll have a car stopped on the track, which has promptly disappeared just in front of Bishop Corner. We see Walker approaching the final sector through Le Mans, and onto the Almond Straight he goes, taking as much of a curve as he can just on the edge. Right there we have 1.5 minutes. If anybody wants to go, they have to be on the track already on their outlap doing their attempts. We have a couple of cars in the pits right now. Walker is slowing down considerably. I think he's just preparing for his lap, or maybe he made a mistake somewhere. I don't know. We're gonna see by his time. Might be competitive actually. Boasts 13th fastest at 2:06. It's not faster than his previous time. Photon Burst is posting 2:01 flat and jumps right behind Walker. We see more and more cars in the pits. That means qualifying is done for them. Walker will have one more lap. McLaren team is posting 1:59.9. The first car out of 2 minutes in the GT class. Zipley is currently going to be approaching the final sector. Out of Le Mans he goes. Obviously nowhere close to the leader time, which is posted by the prototypes. We're gonna disregard that completely. Zipley on the back straight. I don't think he's gonna get yet another lap in, so it's his final attempt.
Thanks for listening
right now.
You wankers.
Thank you for the follows, Burb and Supreme Taco. Welcome, welcome. We have the checkered flag waving for the qualifying over Sebring International Raceway. Zipley is gonna post a time of 2:01.4. He stays in 13 right now. Champel is on his sector 2. Let's see, Nemidas is parked. The qualifying is done for him. Psychedelics in the middle of the track. Have a couple of cars in the middle, so I think Walker is gonna be the first one to cross the line amongst them. He is on the back straight. Let's see if he can improve. He's currently the second in the GT class, only behind Tim. He needs to find another 4/10 to improve over him. See if he finds them. He pushes as wide as he can. past the white line.
Thanks for listening, you wankers.
And crosses the checkered line. No. Oh yes, he did improve at 1:59.7. He takes the GT ball from McLaren team right here. We have a couple of cars approaching the finish line. We have R4X and followed by Psychedelics right here. We'll see what time he posts. He has a 2:05 flat on his record so far. Let's see if he improves. Coming onto the back straight, almost clips the wall right here. Crosses the checkered line. He improves to 21st overall. Psychedelics does not improve, and the qualifying is done for him. Huskies for the final attempt of the qualifying improves to P16, and that's our qualifying done right now. That's what we have for the qualifying. Mr. Grider is on top in his Toyota.
Can anyone smell shit hitting the fan?
JK, Gunses, Rofid, MRK, Burb, not James, and Than. That's, well, we also have Starlight, sorry. In our LMP1 field, Yames and Supreme Taco are our DP field, and in the GT field we have Walker Jer with a last minute steal from McLaren team, who finishes second in the qualifying, followed by Fortenberg, Zibley, Trampale, Oscar, Nemedis, Huskies, JD14, Sam Brown, Psychedelics, Cranky Tanker, Echo, R4X, Swopo, Marzen, and we have a couple of cars without a time. Yours truly, who's going to be broadcasting, definitely no time. Sporter Skrillex, post no time, and Baxi 97. I don't think they'll be participating in this event. Well, we're gonna have a couple of minutes break while our field is being set up right now, and we're gonna be back in just a moment. So then we're gonna fire up a little bit of see you in a moment as we come back to Sebring International Raceway for our race. Alright, so boys and the first row, as soon as he shows up, Mr. Grinder will take his position at the pole. So far we only have a JK behind him. We have the abominable skills car, driven by Gunses. Rofid there as well. MRK running the Audi number 3. Burb alongside with the 43 Audi prototype. Not James is being stuck up somebody's ass right here. Alongside him is Thun. Oh, that's Starlight that's currently being disconnected from a server. Oh boy. Apparently we're having a couple of technical issues among drivers that are hopefully gonna get fixed. Meanwhile, at the DP field, we have WEIMSA that's gonna be starting in front of the GTs alongside another DP who... Where's Taco? There he is. Like miles ahead, because, well, good grid. Good grid. We are fine. We are fine. Walker is gonna be heading our GT class. McLaren team surprisingly not at the front this time around. Photon in his fiery Phoenix car. Right behind them, Zipley is alongside. Oscar behind them. We have a couple of people not showing up just yet. Sam Brown in his red and white Porsche. Then followed by a couple of default liveries, Cranker Tanker and R4X. And we have the GT3 entries, Trempel, Huskies, JD14 in a red and black Audi, followed by Psychedelics, who's promptly pointed the wrong way, and hopefully he doesn't start like that because that's gonna be hilarious and deadly. Meet Me Porsche by Echo, and the last row is Sopo Activist in yet another Audi. Right now, our grid is Martin 224 in his Ferrari. Here's our grid so far. There's Mr. Grinder. Took a while to show up. I think we already have insane amount of banter in the chat. This is fine. We have just 5 minutes to go. 5 minutes. The cars are on the grid revving up. Some people trying their best to show up for the race before it goes green with the technical issues. Meanwhile, prototypes and GTs are chatting about trying to figure out who's gonna leave space for whom. I'm trying my best to figure out TV cameras. Cannot cooperate with me right now. We're gonna be fine. This is all gonna be fine. Nothing bad is gonna happen, right? Oh, that's maybe acceptable. Right, we'll figure out the cameras eventually, okay? We'll figure out the cameras. This is a very professional enterprise, y'all. Very, very professional enterprise. And thanks for the follow, Spartan Forever, Zeldaron, Thang. And thanks for the host by Trempel, who's currently sitting in the chat and not getting ready to race. What did you make? Bathurst 12 hour? I know, right? Nothing is happening there. I had a yellow flag recently. I don't know. Are they going green now? Hope they're green now. Oh yeah, they're green now. Oh, that's fine. That's fine. They still have a lot of hours to go. Gonna be a yellow fest till the end anyway. With how Bathurst usually goes. Minutes before the start of the race, I'm just checking the chats right about now that are still kinda lighting up. Back and forth. I think one of our drivers named Medis is trying to figure out how to drive while he's in VR, so the easy solution would be not driving in VR. I know, that's an alien concept right now, but he'll have to deal with it. Hey, Inamitis is back on Discord and he's launching a game. Let's see. I'm taking bets on whether he'll have actual time to join the grid for the actual start of a race. No promises. Have 2 minutes to go. Everybody is nervous but me, because I will just be sitting there enjoying a glorious train wreck and not participate in it. Ain't I fucking clever? To the question, will there be a VOD? There absolutely will be. It possibly will be uploaded to YouTube as well, so watch this space. Hopefully not a lot of editing will... Right, under 2 minutes till the formation lap will commence. We'll have one formation lap, and after that the race will go green for 2 hours or a little bit more. We'll see if I will be able to follow all the commentary. We'll have a lot of cars I'm not exactly familiar with, honestly. The new liveries, new drivers in the league as well, which is just awesome to see. Same point, I need to not forget to get my ass into the pits real quick, so you're gonna see a little bit of confused camera angles.
Have race to go. The leader started final. The leader finished the race.
Yes, the leader finished the race, apparently. I don't know which one of them is shouting at me right now, but it doesn't matter because I can talk over them. 20 seconds, T-minus 20. The cars are gonna be having lights right about now. Getting ready to go off of the grid. Let's see if we can... Still can get our asses back to pits. This is fine. This is fine. The formation lap of the endurance race is commencing, and we are gonna get ourselves quickly there we go, quickly to the pit lane, and we are gonna be getting ready for 2 hours and a bit of endurance racing, boys and girls. 2:02 on the clock. Will take about 2 minutes to take the formation lap. Mr. Grider is not wasting any time. Just getting the hit in the tires. That's what they need. They sat in the grid for about 10 minutes. They're gonna have a slow lap in front of them, so they're gonna need to warm these tires up before they go racing. If they don't, they turn one, which is a rather difficult difficult turn on cold tires. It's easy to understeer, oversteer, all over the place steer. With that, we'll see if they will be able to keep the heat going. They're slowing down just a little bit. Meanwhile, the DP class, our grand total of 2-car DP class, one of which is not showing up at this point, so WEIMSA is all alone for now. Back to the GT3 field. Walker Gerb is gonna take the green flag first, and with the rest of the GT3's Champel gonna be starting. The Matus is popping out of a server. I think he won't be able to make it, which is a shame. I think he might be done for now. Still not getting an image, so technical difficulties for the Matus. I guess he'll be the first one to not show up for the start of the race. Somebody is facing the wrong way. James is facing the wrong way on the formation lap. What is going on? Did he spin out? One of our prototypes is behind on the formation lap, while our rest of the grid is currently ready to take the green flag, approaching the sunset band for the first time. With the race about to start, they're taking the last turn. They will be able to get the green flag started from right now. Mr. Grider controls the restart, and he'll be going in just a moment. When he thinks it's the right moment, everybody is ready. There he goes. We are green for the race. Mr. Grider takes the start with the entire LMP1 field right behind him, taking turn 1. So far so good. We're gonna be moving to the GT field, which is a complete clusterfuck. We have bumping, we have grind, We have a couple of cars going head to head. We are 2 wide, 3 wide, car off track. Car rejoining the track. This is a bit of a clusterfuck. Will they be able to make turn 2 just fine? Yes, they can. So far, so good. McLaren team is able to take the lead from Walker right out of the gate. We have a car off track. This is Chappell doing a little bit of yard work. We have a car off the track. That's Photon. Photon is off the track. Careful with the rejoin. A couple of cars behind them. We have a car exiting the pits. That's Starlight. Meanwhile, Mr. Grinder and JK taps him. Mr. Grinder misses the turn and has to take the grassy route. He'll be losing positions back and forth. He's in 5th, now in 6th. He lost a lot of places. There was a small touch from JK into the turn. I don't know if it affected something. Probably did. We have Echo and Photon fighting for that sweet P19 as Echo claimed the lead and already 1 second clear of the rest of the field. WEIMSA is currently trying to hang around with the rest of Prototype field. There is the Supreme Tackle, the other Daytona prototype in the race, trying to chase behind WEIMSA. We have the leaders Walker Jer and McLaren team. Walker is able to reclaim the lead in the GTLM class. A lot of action going on in the starting seconds. We have a race going on. We have a car off track that's not James having troubles again trying to get past the GT field in his Audi R18. He had an issue on the formation lap. Now he has to use a lot of boost on the backstretch to get past a couple of GT3 cars, which is nobody's gonna be happy about that, as everybody has a compromised line because of that. I wonder what happened to him right there, as I believe he cleared everyone but the leading duo over there. We have Rolfade just a second behind JK. We'll see if he can mount an attack in his Toyota. Martin had a great start. He has a cracked windshield, so there was some contact between Martin and other people. He's up to 18th place. He started 26th. We have a very slow Porsche in R4X. He's heading to the pit lane with some damage. That's R4X being dead last, currently heading into the pits. His Porsche is not feeling too good. Let's see if he is retiring or just taking the pit stop. We have not James having more problems. He lost a couple positions as well. We have another slow LMP, that's MRK. And we have Than being chased by WEIMSA in different classes. The speed difference should be apparent, but WEIMSA is a fast one in his Konica Minolta Corvette prototype. He's chasing down Than's. Let's see, Grinder is in 5th, so he was able to reclaim 1 position. GT field is currently being somewhat close together. We have a few cars forming a train. Martin is being chased by Echo as we speak. A couple of Porsches. Oscar is a little bit squiggly on the brakes right now. We see Grinder overtaking Burb for that P4. So Grinder still fast, but with that one mistake, Not James proceeds to overtake GT Traffic, being a little bit of a nuisance to them. So team has to go wide, and he's going to be under fire from Walker. Walker goes wide to try to get as much speed as he can right there. Let's see if he can mount an attack. Doesn't seem like that. He doesn't have enough draft to do something about it. Oh, we have a collision. Cranky Tanker and Oscar. 2 Porsches collide. Those are the cars that was squiggly right next to each other. Oh, careful. That's one of the prototypes over there. The Starlight prototype. Cranky Tanker is going. Will he be going to the pits? No, he continues the race. But their races might be ruined with that. And you see Psychedelics being quite some time down on everyone, trying to get their way around a couple of streaking Porsches. Meanwhile, Martin is leading a bit of a train. Now he's off the track. Echo is gonna get him, as well as Trampel. Martin is gonna rejoin, but he's gonna be very slow and under attack from a couple more cars. Oh, we're going 3 wide. We're going 3 wide. Approaching the hairpin from the big bend. Starlight in his prototype able to clear Martin, while the other Audi, that's gonna be Swappo Activist, not quite able to pick up on that. Meanwhile, Yates has cleared that, so we already have our fields mixed up as Starlight is trying to get his way through the GT field. I don't know what happened to him, but we're gonna wait and see. Gunz is in the wall. We have another prototype in the wall. Gunz has spun himself out in his Skittles liveried machine. Lost a couple of positions. That means Grinder is all the way back to 3rd place. 10 seconds behind JK with only one car between them. Apologies for a little bit of yawning. I am totally not sleep deprived right now, as we have finished our first 5 minutes of racing with an hour 50 to go. Let's see what's going on in the field. We have a racing between Zipley and Sam Brown. We had an overtake at some point. Let's see if there's gonna be an attempted re-overtake between those two. Doesn't seem like that just yet. Sam took a gander up the inside. Nothing in there though. He is himself under fire from a Mercedes behind him, so he has to be very cautious about it. We have another car on the pit lane, that's Marzen 244 with some repairs. I assume that's going to be way too early for actual pit stops. We have R4X already being a lap down. The race is not going well for him. Starlight is still making his way through. He has 3 more GT cars to clear. Meanwhile, Tim and Walker with now... Simply is nowhere near, sorry. They are lapping R4X, who's trying his best to get out of their way. He is mighty slow right now on the track. I don't know what's up with that, but he's already a lap back. Team is about a second in front of Walker. Sorry for professionally yawning right here. Coming onto the Albon straight, 2 leaders, and what seems to be E-Corvette right now with the sounds not working properly. He is pulling away while I guess he is the faster driver, but he made a couple of mistakes. We have Sam Brown and Husky still fighting it out for P15 overall. Coming onto the sunset band and onto the back straight right about now. Voice crack. Disregard. For the prototypes, we have MRK chasing down Burb for 4th position overall. We'll see how that goes. We're gonna have Boosties war between 2 Audis, I'm gonna assume, and onto the Almond Straight. They're gonna be catching up the GT traffic rather soon, as quite a few GT cars are already being lapped just 9 minutes into the race. MRK goes for the overtake on the inside. Will he be able to slow the car down enough? Yes, he can, and that's an overtake complete. We'll see if Burb has just enough boost to attempt re-overtake in a Boosties war. So far, doesn't seem likely. They have Gunzes chasing them down. They should probably slow down one behind the other and just go from there. We have a battle for P21 between Oscar and JD14. Both the cars are a little bit broken. Have activists off the track and they complete overtake on them both. And they have Grinder trying to lap them. Will he be able to get... No, he doesn't. He doesn't pop his head there. Looks like Starlight is parking in the pits and officially classified as a DNF. That's our first DNF of the day. We have 25 cars running right about now. That car has seen better times. Probably a hefty collision somewhere there. Oscar able to pull a little bit of a gap, but we have more prototypes coming through. A little bit too optimistic from MRK and Burp able to go right through. The battle is not quite done yet. A mistake while overtaking a lap GT traffic cost him the place. Try and overtake yet another Porsche coming onto the Almond straight again. Let's see if Burp will be able to keep his position at this point. They're heading towards the Sunset Bend once again. We see the onboard for Burp. He tries to hog that wall. Let's see if it's successful for him. They're side by side with MRK. MRK will have the inside. Burp will have to go around the outside if he wants to keep the position. No, he slots just back in. Okay. Okay, so Burp is slower, but he makes fewer mistakes as they have Gunses right here in his Skittles machine, overtaking cars left, right, and center. The next target is Echo for him. He needs to lap him quick if he wants to get close to P4 and 5. The fight for that, he is about 5 seconds back as we have yet another onboard as he clears the traffic and approaches the hairpin. So far we have the onboard from our leader JK, who is 8 seconds clear of everyone. Quite a comfortable lead for the Norwegian right now. Let's see if it stays that way, because he seemed to have competition in grind. Oh, he spins! Oh, the commentator's curse strikes again. JK is spinning and he's gonna lose a boatload of time. He's gonna have to boost out of it. Good save by the Norwegian, but he lost so much time. Right here, he lost at least 5 seconds to the both prototypes chasing him. Rofid is gonna be just 5 seconds back, and Grinder is trying to chase him down. I should have just stayed silent. Should have just stayed silent. Thinking about it. Grinder is bumping out those lap times. He's just 3 seconds back in his well, modern art vehicle, if you can name it that. It's more likely I had a severe problem while using the Photoshop bar, but it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. We have a huge gap between our top 6 and Thun, who's struggling to keep up with the prototypes. We have Not James here as well, trying to come back and overtake James in a Daytona prototype. And so far so good, it's successful. Here's James, our leader of the Daytona prototype class. He has about 10 seconds on the next car in line. Sorry, that's 15 seconds on the next car in line. That's going to be the Supreme Taco, the second out of 2 cars in this class. I'm gonna try to get some better standings right here. There we go. We're gonna go back to Burp and MRK, as they are currently still justing for 4th position overall, with Gunses right there behind them. So they're gonna start worrying. They're gonna have to start worrying about the car behind and whether he's gonna catch up soon. Burp is not bumping out the greatest lap times. And there is Gunses. He has the target in his sights. After his spin, he lost a little bit of time, but now the Toyota is on the charge. He's just 2 seconds back of Burp. And many seconds clear of Than. Let's see how it goes among our prototypes. Gunses is gaining about 2 seconds a lap on the car ahead, but by the end of a lap he should be just on his tailpipe. Alright, Burb is trying to get clear of the traffic, put some GT cars between him and Gunses. No luck so far, as Gunses clears the traffic just as fast as they're approaching McLaren. Tim, who is currently leading the GT field, with Gunses ready for attack. Burb struggled a little bit to send it down the inside. That might hurt him, as they're now side by side with Gunses. Gunses using all his boosties he has left to get the pass that he'll have the inside line into the sunset bend. Will Burb attempt a re-overtake round the outside? He tries to go. He'll have to go a long way around, but he has the momentum and he has Mawson in front. I don't know if he's gonna be nuisance or help. I don't think Burb is gonna get there. No, he cannot. The Gunses secures 5th place, chasing MRK down right now for P number 4. Mr. Grinder, meanwhile, slowly closing up the gap on P2. Rolfid, just 2-second gap from Mr. Grinder, chasing him right there. Is a fight for the 2nd position in the class and overall. So we're gonna be prepared for an overtake very, very soon. No cars jumping in the pits right now, so nobody being smart with some super soft tire strategy, etc, etc. Looks like everybody has their tanks full and ready to go for as long as they can. Echo, meanwhile, posts the fastest lap for himself at 2:05. He's chasing Oscar for that 18th position. Mr. Grinder going on to the Almond straight. He is within a second. He is ready to bounce. He does have the dirty air from Rofid. And he is, most importantly, closing the gap on JK, who just posted 1:44.5, fastest lap of the race. Let's see how can Grinder reply. He replies with 1:45 flat. Grinder will be in a battle, so he's gonna lose a little bit of time. That is a prime chance for JK to run away with it. He still has a 7-second gap, but that gap between him and Rolfid been opening, but the gap between him and Grinder has been closing. Grinder spun himself, he went wide a little bit, not James past James again. R4X is another disconnect from the server right now, so we have 2 classified as DNF right now. R4X had big issues at the start of the race. He had to pit early, so that's probably where it stemmed from. Grinder is right behind Rolfid. The overtake is a brewing. Let's see how close they are to each other. Let's see if he can do it on this lap. They're gonna be approaching Bishop next, out of turn 13, heading into turn 14. It's a fast, flat. Grinder can use these curbs a little bit to close down. They're going through Le Mans now. 15 and 16. The exit of this turn is crucial onto the back straight. Let's see if he can stay within the fighting range. He does. He goes for an overtake. There is a Porsche. They're going 3 wide. On the left, on the right. And Mr. Grinder is through. Will he be able to make the turn just right? Let's see. He is trying to just fly it into the turn. And looks like he secured that P2 for now. Brilliant double overtake by Mr. Grinder. Oh, that's not done yet. Rofid saved a lot of boosties. And Rofid is back at it. Having reports of a little bit of damage by Trempale. Looks like he's still going. We're gonna go back to this fight between Rofid and Grinder. They're still at it. They're not ready to give up just yet. The boosties war is upon us. They're closing down on Taco in P10. That'd be... yeah, that'd be P10. Huh. Rofid all of a sudden lost a lot of time here. And, well, goodbye that battle. Never mind me then. Grinder goes through the Daytona prototype and he is in the clear right now. Meanwhile, in the GT field, two leaders are still close to each other. The E Corvette, chased by the proper Porsche. They're still separated by just a couple of seconds, and Walker just posted 2:00.73, which is a very, very fast lap, almost his qualifying time, chasing down our leader. Behind them, we see Zipley in P3, quite a big gap to Fotenburst in P4 in the GT field, but behind him, we see a bit of a clusterfuck. Trampel is trying to fight for the position with Sam Brown. He gets the position. At the same time, one of the prototypes was busy trying to lap them. So that's another good overtake and a start-finish straight. Trampel is fighting for it, but the fight is not quite done. They have a Mercedes in front of them, so we have quite a tight field right here fighting for the GT3 lead with just over an hour and a half left in this race. The cars left, right and center. Triple dodging some slow LMP1 Audi. That's not James that was lapping them. He spun and almost collected someone out of the hairpin, but thankfully I don't think there was any damage done. And we have the first car down the pit lane. Profit is on the pit lane right now with 23 minutes passing. It's gonna be our first proper stop. He has a little bit of damage on his left side. Let's see if he picked it up just then or it's something else. So far he's on the pit lane. He has a solid gap to Thun in 7th. Or is it just new tires, new fuel, and he continues on his fight? I don't know when the pit window is actually gonna be, well, an actual pit window. So we're gonna have to wait and see. He's still on the pit lane. Gonna continue with other cars for now, as we have the tower to show you when he's gonna leave. We have Gunz is chasing down MRK. MRK is losing a few positions here and there. Gunz is in his fancy Toyota TS040 hybrid, chasing down MRK. Just a couple of seconds between them. MRK is very, very slow all of a sudden. He lost 10 seconds to grind us somewhere. I guess there was maybe more contact. Trampel registered more contact, as there is a huge clusterfuck in GT field, as quite a few cars here being lapped by Grinder, who in his turn has more traffic in front of him. That has to be a lapped car. There's nobody in front of him. Nobody's supposed to be in front of him. Meanwhile, we have a battle. The Mercedes and... oh, never mind. Trampel is off the track in his Lamborghini. He has a little bit of damage accumulated over the laps. And he's gonna be somewhat slow right now. He let Sam Brown in the GTE Porsche through, who is now chasing down the Mercedes. Meanwhile, Gunz is trying to get MRK behind him. They are right next to each other. MRK a little bit too wide. There's an opportunity for Gunz. He needs to clear him before he can attempt to overtake Trampel. Oh no, he spins again! Gunz spins again, trying to overtake Trampel. He jumps the curb hard. And another unfortunate incident for Gunz looks self-inflicted, as I don't see any hit reports from automated systems. Looks like Gunz tried to be too greedy on the curb and it bit him, as now he has to make his through the GT field to get started with Trampel and catch up to the podium. Going back to the GT race, Brown is facing the wall. He binned it out of the sunset band, and he is out of the fight with Trampel. picking up a tiny little bit of damage. The next car behind him is going to be Oscar in the GT-LM Porsche. The next car behind him is Echo. He is about, let's see, I'm gonna say about 10 seconds down. Yeah, 14 seconds down on the next car. It's a bit strung out. Swappo Activist another 3-4 seconds behind Echo in his Audi JD14, followed by Crank-a-Tanker with a lot of cranks in his windshield. Psychedelics is behind them, and Marzen is very last. Let's say Marzen is very, very last and driving what seems to be an electric Ferrari at this point. That's our field right now. WEIMSA is having to deal with the faster class prototype still, as they overtake him only to spin themselves out and lose out again to him. So that's one hell of a clusterfuck. We see Grinder lapping other prototypes already. And here's the Konica Minolta. Number 10, Daytona prototype as 4 cars heading to the pit lane. Thun is on the pit lane right now. He doesn't have a lot of damage, so I'm gonna assume it's his scheduled pit stop half an hour into the race. Looks like our race is still gonna be between MRK and Gunses, 2.5 seconds between them right now. Gunses will need a couple more laps to catch up to the podium, I'm gonna guess. That is, unless he spins himself again, which he's done multiple times already. So, yeah. Jones is closing the gap again. It's 1.5 seconds now between the two prototypes. They do have a mix of classes in front of them and all around them they'll have to deal with, including the Daytona prototype, which is not too slow compared to LMP1, so he might be a nuisance for one of them. JK posts 146.7. The guy is not exactly posting his fastest lap, but at this point he's 18 seconds clear of his nearest competition. The Grinder is not being particularly rapid right now. Posted 150 on, I assume, all the tires. Both P3 and P4 made their way past WEIMSA successfully. They have 5 cars left on the lead lap, and all of them are kind of right here. Burp is slightly behind. A lot of prototypes here, even though there is a little bit of a difference in terms of the amount of laps they have completed so far, but they seem to be in the same place physically on track, so that might be interesting for sure, as Gunses now has to make his way through another Porsche GT. That he does, and he is within half a second of his target, even less. MRK is not being the fastest right now. Gunses with yet another overtake round the outside of the hairpin. Will he fit? Sorry, not the hairpin. Oh, what am I talking about? Turn 13, and he does complete the overtake, and he is now P3. Let's see if he spins now to give us the joy of watching the hunt again, or is he finally done with that? Seems like he is, as he is opening the gap. Right now he is chasing not James to lap him. That's the LMP1 class debacle, so James is gonna be lapped in half an hour. That's gonna be a big field difference if we proceed with that. Come on, hide it. Jesus Christ. There we go, thank you. B-Tracker being a little bit of a bitch. Now James is not exactly giving way to Gunses right here. He's still trying to make his way through the traffic. While Gunses is trying to get to the inside. That he does. He'll have to use a lot of boosties. Oh, we have a spin! We have a spinner in front. Oh, we have a crash! We have a big collision that takes McLaren team. They're bumping, they're grinding. What the hell is going on? That's Rofid involved as well. We have a big wreck in front of us. Rofid, the LMP, is in that crash. Gunses was involved in bumping and shoving. We still have a couple of LMPs, not James, still in this. I have no idea what just happened, but that was not pretty. That was a big collision heading into turns 3 and 4 between the cars. McLaren team regains the lead, but that he lost for a second. He gets his way past the stricken LMP car. What is that? Somebody is very slow. Rofid, couple of laps down. I don't know what happened to him. Trappel is gonna try to fix some damage while he's in the pit lane. Given the lead of GT Field to Huskies, who is now being under attack from 2 different classes. There go the 2. Oh, almost collected by the Supreme Taco in the Daytona prototype. He has to slot in behind, and there he goes round the outside. They have the Supreme acceleration, but when it comes to braking, they're not that particularly good. You see Trampel still in the pits. We have another car, Cranky Tanker, entering the pit lane right now. As it comes to our leaders, Walker Jer is a little bit behind McLaren team, who's trying to flash all the lights he has at the Audi who he's about to lap in his soundless Chevrolet Corvette. Burke is on the pit lane as well. We're gonna be having the pit wave, it looks like. Glorious sound of Corvette, if you ask me. Burb is the Audi on the pit lane, refueling now. JK, the car in the lead with almost half a minute gap to the next contender. JK, despite making a mistake early on, still hangs on to it and still pumping out good lap times. And so far I don't see any competition for the Norwegian, who is miles ahead of everyone. Goes for more laps, doing 1:45.4, just a second behind his fastest time on new tires. That guy is definitely wheeling it, as we have Gunz is making a little bit of a mistake, as we see MRK right behind him again. The gap was a couple of seconds. We'll see what's up here. MRK goes for the overtake. Gunz is a little bit slow. Is he trying to conserve a little bit of fuel? Is he out of boost? I don't know, but we might have boosties war upon us as well, as Gunz is not being exactly the fastest guy on the track right now, and losing the podium position. He's trying to re-overtake with the use of boosties. He'll have to go a long way around. Let's see if he manages to make it stick throughout turn 1. No, he doesn't. He slots behind. So Gunz is with not the best lap time in the world. Still fighting. So we see now the reason. We got the information on the reason of why Trempel is spending what looks like an eternity in the pit lane. A slight collision with the wall that ended up being an engine damage. So he has to fix his engine before he can return. Meanwhile, we have Martin, who is going to be the last car on the track, pitting in as well. Or I'm going to assume his scheduled stop. Campbell is still not last. With Martin overtaking him, he would be. Let's see if they are able to fix his car quick enough so he can rejoin, being 4 laps down. As we're scrolling through the grid, Jeke is comfortably in the lead. Mr. Grinder losing a lot of time right now. He is almost caught up by MRK, and Guns is fighting there for position. I don't know what Grinder is experiencing, maybe old tires, maybe something else, but he is not feeling the best right now. As we have MRK and Guns in a nice tandem. Still, we have a brilliant fight for the prototype podium right here. And it's about to become a three-way dance with Grinder not pumping out the best of laps. We'll see if any of them are gonna pit any time soon. That's gonna be one hell of a fight. I don't know what happened to Rofin. Probably some damage at some point, as he is now classified as 2 laps down from being on the podium. MRK chasing down Grinder for that sweet P2. Washing down just a little bit wide in the Audi, giving a chance for Gooses to catch up, who was stuck behind a GT car for a little bit. Trying to spread out again. And we see Marcel leaving the pit lane, so that means that Trempel is officially lost with his damage. And there is Trempel 5 laps down, right behind Marcel. He's going to be chasing him down. Not a big gap between those two, as Marcel is now under pressure from James, who gets right by him. James is 7th overall, leading the class, with Taco being about half a lap down. From the slower slower LMP1 traffic, we have Thun in 9th position, followed by Rofit in 10th, being a couple of laps down in a Toyota. McLaren Tim and Walker Jer still close, right next to each other, fighting for that lead in the GTE class. Great battle between those two. The McLaren team has a little bit of visible damage, but we gotta come back to MRK and Gunses. Gunses overtook MRK, but now under fire in the boosties war, heading into the sunset band. There is a look, but no pass. Let's see if there's gonna be something happening into turn 1. No, MRK ducks into the pits, trying to get an undercut on Gunses. Let's see, Guns will have to pump out a really good lap to get something done while MRK is doing an undercut. He's gonna have fresh rubber for about a lap as he parks his car in the pits right now. Gunses and Grinder are close to each other right now. Gunses has to push with all his marbles. He has to be marginal on fuel, as almost the entire field pit. Looks like the top 3 have maybe a couple of laps of fuel left in them, as we switch to our race leader in Jackie, who is now on the back straight, having almost 40 seconds of a gap. The flying Norwegian with the doctor number on his shark fin is making his way around the sunset band once again. He is not beat. He still has enough in the tank to keep going. Interesting. Early stop for MRK. Guns I don't think is stopping either. Guns is stuck a little bit behind the Porsche. The traffic. He's making his way past Photon in his fancy GTE entry. Trying to figure out what is going on. We have 2 leaders in GTE still chasing one another. The third car is Zipley, and he is very much behind both of them. Guns is post 148.1 with Grider posting 149. So he's catching up to the podium position, at least by this lap. We still have 80 minutes left in the race, and that sounds like a prime time to have our first scheduled break. We still have the race rolling. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Welcome back to Phoenix Racing Club Endurance Race at Sebring. In the last 5 minutes we had another DNF. Marzen decided to call it quits in the only Ferrari present. So now we have 23 cars left in the race with just over 70 minutes to go in the race. Gunsis is still trying to chase Grinder. They're all so close on pace. In the solid lead, have yet, I was about to say yet another overtake, but that's now James losing the position to the Supreme Chaco in a different class. Meanwhile, James made his way past Profid and Than and now residing in 6th place overall in the best Daytona prototype currently. Great race by the Canadian. I don't think he's going to be going top 5 because Burb is not too slow unless Burb has a terrible mistake and has to spend time in the pits. But we'll see what happens. Not James gets the position back because, of course. Meanwhile, over here in the GT lead, we have Walker and McLaren team still right next to each other. They spent basically the entire race chasing each other. 48 minutes and counting. They have been within a couple of seconds and they're still trading good laps after good laps while being basically away from the rest of the GTE field. The next car behind them is Zipley and he is about half a lap down, and the next car is Photon, who is even further. Quite large gaps between cars in the GTE field, with Sam Brown and Echo being about 20 seconds clear between each other. Then we have Husky overtaking JD14. That's an overtake for 17th position. That's an overtake in the GT3 class. Mercedes versus Audi. Mercedes regains the lead after it was surrendered by Trempel, who had a big engine damage and spent a few laps in pits trying to fix that. The Mercedes is back on top. JD is not doing his best lap, but he's still holding on. We have Swapper activist half a lap back. Trempel is getting a little bit of damage as he is going off-roading again. He is the last car amongst those who are still going, a lap behind Psychedelics. Profit gets past James finally. So James is going back to 2nd place. That is not for the position in class, so no harm done there. As I was looking, Oscar and Crankatanker. Out of 2 guys, Oscar in the wall! We have a Porsche in the tire wall who continues with some front end damage. He's going straight to the pits. Let's see if he sustained quite a bit of damage. Crankatanker goes right past him as Oscar is now in the pits, losing the position after a heavy hit coming out of the Sunset Band. Meanwhile, Psychedelics, is he gonna get the position? I think he will. Yes, he does. He pulls his fastest lap of the race at 2:04.8 and goes past Oscar, who collected the wall. Champel is going to be a lap back, so it's still a while before he gets to pass Oscar if he's still in the pits. No, Oscar is coming back out already, so new tires? I don't know what was fixed on the pit lane, but he is very fast back out on track and trying to chase down Psychedelics and Crankatanker. Crankatanker trying his best to stay out of Gunz's way, not giving him too much space though. Gunz has lost a bit of time trying to squeeze past that Porsche, as Mr. Grinder trying his damn best to run away, and in his 2nd position right now. Closing in on that halfway mark. still trying to negotiate traffic right now. Going past Photon once again. Very easily recognizable cars, both Photons and Mr. Grinders. One is Blood Red, the other one is 17 Shapes of Barney Vomit. Honestly, that. None of the leaders have pit yet, so we'll see pit cycle going. And remember that MRK has pitted already while being about 40 seconds back, so he might still be a factor in this race if it turns out he's been able to keep the pace with these two, because he has pitted and probably having new tires and a good tank of fuel that might last him till the end. I am not sure quite yet though. Champel is now 7 laps down from the leader. So he has a lot of ground to make. I don't think he's gonna make it unless somebody dies. But still, he keeps going, which is the most important. We've seen cars PNF in 3 classes out of 4. We have an LMP1 prototype, a GTE and a GT3 now parked in the pits till the end of the race. The only class still going strong is a DP class, but that's a bit rich because they just have 2 drivers. They're basically the prototype challenge of this race, which I know, quite harsh, but that's the sad reality of things for them. The gap between Grinder and Goose is closing in for the last few laps, so that's interesting to see what is going to happen here. Either Goose has turned on the jets, or Grinder has been making a couple of mistakes, because he's been able to pull away a tiny little bit lap by lap, but now it's less than a second. Grinder seems to be working in those pendulum motions. He's either going real fast or everybody's catching him. This time the pendulum swings violently back, it looks like. But there's still just over a second between these two, so anything can happen. We are 5 minutes away from a halfway mark of the race. We have 4 cars on the lead lap. We have 2 good battles still going on. We have this battle between Gunses and Mr. Grinder for the 2nd place in LMP1 and overall. And we have this battle raging on since the very beginning of the race for the lead of GTE class. Walker Jer and McLaren Tim. 2 guys right next to each other the whole race within a couple of seconds. Trempel is in the pits again. Disaster race continues for the German. Let's see if he needs to fix more damage. He is in the pits again. He is already 7 laps down on the leader and a lap behind the next car. That Lamborghini has seen better days for sure, as his next opponent, Psychedelics, is 2 laps up. Car repair up front, so a lot of bumper banging and a refuel for the German as he heads back onto the track. As we continue witnessing the battles, Walker is a little bit behind, so we're gonna slot in for the prototype battle right here. Gunses is being quite aggressive on the Audi. as he knows he needs to chase real fast. As Grinder is able to put some time back on the board. Kunz is closed in, but Grinder is back at it again with 1.5 second gap. So this is probably the prime time to get our rundown through the field. Here is our leader, JK. 40-second gap to the next car. He is untouchable so far. Barring a major mistake, he is gonna stay in the lead of this race. He can just go on cruise control. Second place, we have this battle. Mr. Grinder and Kunz is fighting it out. Mr. Grinder still has the second place after his spin early on in the race. And Kunz is chasing them right down. MRK 9882 is in 4th place. He is now being lapped by JK right now, but he has made his stop, so that might factor in later in the race. Burb is in 5th position right now, heading into what would be the hairpin, and behind him is Rofi, 2 laps back from the leader and quite some time back from Burb in his Toyota, trying to chase him down. The best of Daytona prototypes, James, is in 7th position, not too far behind Rofi, just 30 seconds. So he is doing a great race. He is ahead of 2 LMP1 prototypes. One of them is Than, who is currently exiting Sunset Bend, trying to negotiate GT traffic, being 3 laps down from the leader. And behind him is not James, who is about half a minute back. The other Daytona prototype, the Supreme Taco, being a lap down from James, is currently in 10th position. The leader in the GTE field, McLaren Tim, what we have right of a moment here, double overtake. McLaren Tim's car is beat up a little bit, but he keeps going and going and going, and he's still leading the GTE class right behind him. As one of the cars pits. McLaren team is actually in the pits. I didn't see that. I saw Sam Brown in the pits, but McLaren team, the GTE leader, is in the pit lane. That means Walker is inheriting the lead right now, but we'll see how long it lasts as team pits. Behind them is Zipley, the only guy on the same lap as the 2 leading GTEs. The next car is a Photon Burst in 14th place overall. He is a lap down, but he's still going on. The next car behind him is Echo 51, trying to negotiate with a Toyota right now. McLaren team finally able to get some car repairs done and slap a full tank of fuel. So he is probably going to be driving to the end now as he exits the pits. The best GT3 entry is Hoskits. He is currently in P16, not too far behind Echo, as we are officially over halfway mark of a race right about now. Under an hour to go in this endurance race. Behind Hoskits we have JD14, been a few corners behind on the same lap. Next we have Sam Brown, who has just pitted. He's currently in 18th place. The next GT3 car is Swapo Activist, who is crossing the start-finish line right now in an Audi. Behind him, not too far back actually, is the Cranker Tanker, the penultimate GTE entry. McLaren team picks up some left side damage almost instantly, I assume a little bit on the curb. Then we have Psychedelics, another GT entry, as Kunz is in the pit lane right now. He's tired of chasing running. He's trying to get another cut. We'll see where MRK is now, because he pitted among this top 4 group earlier than the rest. Behind Psychedelics is Oscar R, being a few corners back. And the last car still going is Trampel, being 8 laps down on the leader and 2 laps down on the next competition due to a lot of damage endured. We have 3 cars not finishing the race. Marsen 244, R4X, and Starlight are out of this race already. Kunzes is on the pit lane, another car. Walker Jer is on the pit lane too. Let's see where he is. He's about to exit the pit lane. There is McLaren Tim just showing up. Walker is now lifting his pit limiter. Will he be able to get the lead? Yes, he can with quite some space from McLaren team. Walker is able to secure the lead. That race changes now. Kunzes is pitting out, being 9 seconds behind MRK. It was a 2-second gap, so he was able to put some gap, and he is currently right behind Walker. But if you see the gap, there is Walker, and just there, McLaren team shows up. This is a good 5-second gap that Walker was able to pull just by the virtue of pit cycle. This is the important part. So now Kunzes, now 12 seconds clear of MRK, and we have a leader, and we have Grinder both in the pits. JK has been in the pits for a while. He's gonna be leaving the pits sometime soon. As Mr. Grinder is in the pit lane, we're gonna be watching where that goes on. See, Grinder just pulls up for the pit while JK is already leaving, and he is the only car within probably a good half a minute there. JK made his one and only stop of a race. We see Mr. Grinder on the pit lane. We're waiting for Kunzes. Mr. Grinder still on the pit lane. Kunzes is on the back straight. He is on Almond. Gonna be flying into the sunset band right about now. He knows his rival is in the pit lane. He knows he needs to push now. He is out of the last turn. He is on a start-finish straight. Where is Grinder? That is the important question. Grinder still listed as on the pit lane. There he is on the right. And Kunzes is past Mr. Grinder through the pit cycle. The undercut worked. And the Latvian is now in P2. We have the Mercedes of Hoisted being off the track. He's going to be a little bit of a nuisance to Mr. Grinder, who is now past him. 2.5 seconds now between Kunzes and Mr. Grinder, but the other way around. The Latvian pulls a grand heist on Grinder in the pit cycle. Now he needs to keep calm and keep that gap going, as we have 55 minutes left in the race. Brilliant race right there. A couple of great races going on, and a couple of overtakes in the pits. McLaren team being absolutely stuck between an Audi and a Daytona prototype of WEIMSA. So he lost even more time to Walker. It's now gonna be right there. Walker is already past that turn. That's gonna be still 5 seconds, if not more. We're gonna stay with the Chevrolet E-Corvette as it navigates the turns in complete and utter silence of its apparent electric engine, as we're gonna see what kind of lap times these two are gonna post. This is gonna be the race to the end for everybody, at least those fighting for higher positions. So we're gonna wait and see who has the pace, who doesn't have the pace, and who needs to rapidly find the pace. There is a, well, cooler of beer, what I can only assume, and there's the battery that apparently powers this entire thing, as it still fails to get a single noise in. We continue. We're gonna have some times here from McLaren team and Walker. Walker is posting 2:01.5. That's a fast time. That's not the fastest time. 2:02 flat by Tim. He lost half a second on this lap. Kunzes is flying away 4 seconds between him and Grinder now, and Grinder might be getting caught by MRK in not that distant future. Meanwhile, back to our Daytona prototype leader, the Canadian WEIMSA, is still navigating the track rather well. Though The Daytona prototypes, I believe none of the Daytona prototypes have pitted yet, so they'll have to pit eventually. Let's see, we might have a big gap between the two DPs, though he might let two LMP1s through if they pitted. I kind of didn't exactly follow the pit strategy. I apologize. Pit strategy between the bottom end of the LMP1 field. Games is doing a perfect job so far. Rofit is not that far ahead of him still. Mr. Grinder with a bit of car damage, trying to chase down Gunses. Probably was on a curb. Gunses does 145 while Grinder does 152. A polling lap from Mr. Grinder, and he's 10 seconds back. He must have gotten off track at some point, because he is now just 6 seconds ahead of MRK. Grinder is losing this race rapidly now, 10 seconds from Gunses. Disaster, disastrous. Wait, what? What happened? I just did not see what just happened, but all of a sudden Gunses is behind. Was there touch? Bottom burst with a heavy hit. He's now trying to teabag some part of the course as he's facing the wrong way. Oops, sorry. But something happened to Gunses, something big crash there. Photon with a cracked windshield right here, losing time to an Audi. And let's see if that will force him to pit. But at this point, Gunses lost the lead he gained in the pits. Oh, Mr. Grinder is off. This is all happening. Grinder is off in Le Mans, and he gives 2 positions back to Gunses and MRK. Both of them saying thank you very much. Photon is indeed in the pits for damage. But the LMP1 field suddenly forgot how to drive altogether. In about 2 minutes, first Mr. Grinder did a mistake, then Gunses plowed the wall doing a 2:03 lap, and then Mr. Grinder just decides to straight line the fuck out of Le Mans. Oh shit, McLaren team with some damage. We see a little bit of damage on Tim's car. He is still chasing Walker, who is still right in front of him. Photon managed to fix his damage and he'll be pitting out soon. I don't think he lost any positions. But at this point, oh my god, I don't even know what's happening. McLaren team's car is representing what would have happened to any given Chevrolet car. Oh, we have somebody spun on the pit lane. That's Thun facing the wrong way on the pit lane as he finally manages to find his way through. There was a GT car involved in that as well. What is going on? Everybody suddenly forgets how to drive. But yeah, as I was saying, McLaren team's car represents what would have happened to any given Chevrolet Corvette if it ever was to go electric, as it's all beaten up and with its windows being severely ruined, as Thun now disconnects. Polsky disconnects. Was he the one who was in the crash? Our GT3 leader is now listed as DNF with Thun. We're gonna have a change for the GT3, as the GT3 leader in Mercedes is now classified as DNF with 50 minutes to go. The next JD14 is now inheriting the lead from him in P15, and we gonna have 21 car going out of 26 that started the race just past the halfway point. Everything is happening. Absolutely everything is happening on track right now. This is crazy town. Unfortunately, no replays to figure out what is going on, but Jesus Christ. Everything is happening suddenly. Don is gonna give up one position in the LMP1 to Not James, who is now classified as 8th overall and 7th LMP1 with James in front of him. So far, Gunz is finally pulling away from MRK, and Mr. Grinder is chasing him down. After everyone choked to hell, they finally decided to start going the right way. And maybe representing their cars well. Oh no, Trampel picks up even more damage. His hood is lifted up again. The German cannot get a break. Another piece of damage for him. He is still lost despite the GT3 Merc being classified as DNF. He needs to complete one more lap to not be last. But he will have to bid for damage. I assume his hood is gonna pop up any second now. He has terrible damage at the front. I don't know what happened, but it was probably not good at all. As we missed another thing, as Walker just gave up his lead of the GTE class as we were watching everybody dying. McLaren team managed to regain the lead in GTE class and now trying to force his way through a Porsche. So Walker made a mistake at some point and now they're both together again. These two seem to be hell-bent on chasing one another no matter what happens. Tim is currently stuck a little bit behind the Porsche, which is gonna allow Walker to close down the gap a little bit and just slot in. Oh! Team with a little bit of damage as well going off the track. I don't think it's gonna matter much because he still has the lead, and unfortunately Walker is stuck behind a couple of prototypes trying to overtake him at the same place, so he cannot capitalize on Team's mistake. Two GTEs overtaken Khan, who is now listed as a DNF. We'll see where it goes from here. Alright, what is going on? Let's see. We are having a battle right now between MRK and Mr. Grinder. They're side by side heading into Sunset Bend with a Porsche running interference. MRK is still in the lead, but Grinder was closing that gap down very fast. Let's see how long this status quo will last. Grinder got almost a second and a half out of him right here. So it's gonna be an interesting next lap where Grinder needs to get through to stay within fight range of Gunz's. It's now 8 seconds. It's a lot, but we've seen people making stupid mistakes after stupid mistakes, so it's not quite done yet. I'm gonna bet Grinder saves a little bit of energy for the back straight. This is his best chance to get through. Just wait till the back straight and get him into the Sunset Bend. They're getting through Collier and Tower right now through Tower right now, side by side. Mr. Grinder on the outside. He's gonna get boxed in. He has nowhere to go. He can't do anything. Smart defense by McCann. Grinder off the track. Grinder off the track big time, and he's in the wall. He's in the wall hard. That's a huge impact for Mr. Grinder, and his car is definitely damaged severely. His front took a huge impact. He finally finds his ignition and slowly crawling back on the track. I think that's him done. Big off for Mr. Grinder, and he can't forget about the podium now. I assume, will have to bid now for damage. His front took a huge impact. He's getting past Echo once again. Profit is now in the pits again. Grinder a little bit off the track. We'll see. Yeah, everything is ruined in his car. Let's see if he pits or if he tries to race with a broken car for 40 more minutes. Let's see what his choice is. He has Burp not too far away behind him. And he decides to stay out. He stays out for the broken car. He will keep going. Let's see how much time he will be losing per lap to Burp, who is about half a minute back in an Audi. Meanwhile, McLaren team and a Walker are still right behind one another. The fight between the Corvette and the Porsche is still raging on. An hour and 15 minutes in. This is some crazy shit. I will proceed with two drivers still side by side, well, side by side, one behind the other. Walker did a slightly better lap. He cut 4/10 from the gap. They're now within a second of each other once again, which is just crazy talk at this point. I still have 40 minutes to figure out which one of them is the fastest GTE car on the track. They still have another car, Zipley, who is about half a lap down. So if they have a big crash trying to figure out what's going on, they might lose the lead together. So they need to be careful. Mr. Grinder is finally in the pit lane. He realizes he cannot be driving with that much damage on his car. He is in the pits. Let's see if Burp is able to capitalize on that. There is Burp coming through. Oh, he's coming in the pit lane as well. Is that scheduled? I wonder if that's scheduled. Because he's gonna be right behind Grinder right about now. These cars, him and car in front of him, are right next to each other. Grinder repaired his damage and Burp is not able to get a podium place as Grinder is glitching out. Oh! Is Grinder done? He was listed as pit out and then his car ceased to exist. So either something happened or he gave up on this race after heavy damage. Either way, he just lost his 4th place as Burp goes through and Mr. Grinder is nowhere to be found. That is another car biting the dust. We have 20 cars running now. Out of 26, 3 on the lead lap. It's gotta be... no, it's not gonna be 2. I don't think JK is gonna pull that big of a gap. Alright, let's come back to our lovebirds that are now being harassed a little bit by Taco in the Daytona prototype, trying to get past both of them. He needs to make sure he does that without a lot of interference. Oh, now he's no, that's not what you want to do. Taco, he dodges Walker and spins. Walker cuts the hairpin chicane there, but he's still in contention. But Taco just spun himself not so good under braking, and James posts his fastest lap of a race at 1:53. And he's still going strong with no James somewhere behind him, about 15 seconds back, so he is still ahead of some LMP1 cars. We have a message from Dunn here. So yes, as we saw on the race, there was a GT involved in the crash where we saw them being facing their own way on the pit lane. Apparently it was a heavy contact and terminal damage for the prototype that resulted in a DNF, as he is currently classified as a DNF and 22nd. Swappo Activist and Psychedelics, 2 cars, are now on the pit lane. Psych misses his pit box. That's gonna be a little bit embarrassing. He's gonna have to back down a little bit, and as they're both GT3 cars, they might be in direct contention between one another. As Swappo Activist is now back on track while Psych is still being refueled. Frank Tanker in a GTE is right behind Swappo, so that might be an inter-class race right here for 17th position. Oscar goes through on a start-finish straight, and Psych is just rejoining. He's going to be about 10 seconds back from Oscar, as we have Rofid overtaking Grinder right here. Let's see, yeah, the closest battle. Oh my god, there's still, Taco is still running interference on both cars, and now they're close together. We saw a puff of smoke while he was trying to overtake McLaren Tim. He finally does it, he finally gets through them both, but that means they're now closer than ever, with Walker able to just see the most intricate details of Tim's rear diffuser. I'm still gonna go at it. We have Cranker getting past Swappo Activist just by the power of stronger Porsche engine. Cranker Tank is now up to 17th overall and 7th in the class out of 8 still running. JD14 meanwhile still leading the GT3 class in an Audi. We have 4 Audis left. Him, then Swappo Activist, Psychedelics that just beat it, and Trempel, whose car is smashed to pieces. We're going back to these 2 that are currently being overtaken by the leader. JK is coming through. Walker might be trying to use him a little bit if he can to run interference, but not enough, as JK is through both of them, posting 146.5, just 2 seconds lower than his fastest lap of the race. Still running well. We have MRK on the pit lane. I assume getting some fuel in. Yeah, he's not gonna get caught by Burr, but he's gonna be nowhere near Gunses right now. With Mr. Grinder DNF, and James is now in top 6. And we have the first DP into the pits. James is finally coming in for his one and only refuel with 35 minutes left on the clock. Behind him, Not James is also beaten. So we have 2 cars there, and Taco is having some issues with GT traffic as well. We are closing in on 3/4 of a race being done here. See what happens. James is leaving the pit lane now, still the leader of a DP class, still in 6th position, and still 3 laps behind JK. MRK has been lapped by JK while he was pitting, so we have 2 cars on the lead lap now. Trempel is in the pits again on lap 39. I believe that's his 4th or even 5th visit to the pit lane. The guy just cannot catch a break at this point. We'll see what is gonna happen here, as he probably splashes some more fuel, gets some new tires on, and fixes the front damage. Did fix the front damage. What about the rest? Let's see. He's leaving the pit lane now. No, James is in the pits for a long time. Probably some damage on his car. Trempel is gonna leave the pits. He's still new tires. and no refuel, so he has enough fuel to finish the race. He slapped some new tires. He's 2 laps behind Psychedelics. Just has to hope somebody dies. No, James finally able to leave the pits right about now. He lost a couple of laps, and he is now classified as 4 laps behind our leader. Speaking of our leader, here is Jackie being almost a minute clear of everyone. He's been absolutely dominating this race. Just one little mistake where he slid a little bit wide coming out of Le Mans, but he corrected that mistake well and hasn't been seen making any mistakes from this point forward. Now being a minute clear from Gunses in a spectacular feat of domination in LMP1 field. Coming back to our lovebirds in GTE, this is gonna be our main point of the race. Basically this whole race, we have Walker and McLaren team still 1 second behind each other, less than 1 second, as they negotiate Le Mans for yet another time. Gonna be heading to the back straight. They're still quite far enough, so the draft will probably not do much, especially since McLaren team has Photon in front of him, getting some of this pocket of dirty air in front, reducing the drag on the car. McLaren team goes a little bit wide. Walker looking for the line, not quite there yet, as Tim slams the door shut on him. This race is gonna go till the very end unless the wreck. I'm calling it right now. Somebody is gonna have to send it right at the end. This is gonna be very, very interesting indeed. As we are closing into a half an hour mark to go in this race, we're gonna have to our second and final scheduled break, and we're gonna be back in a few minutes. Until then, have some music. Uh-oh. I think we have a different issue. The issue of server being unavailable right now. And I think something just died. I'm not sure, with 30 minutes to go in the race. It looks like we might be having a server issue right now with 30 minutes to go in the race. Uh-oh. I think everything just died. Oh, this is, well, since we were on a scheduled break, we're gonna continue going on the scheduled break while the server gurus are gonna see what is gonna happen next. For now, the race has been red flagged for server issues, and see what is gonna happen next. Stay with us, and we're gonna be back in just a moment. from race control. The race is called. It's red flagged and will not be restarted. So we are done with the race right now. It's just half an hour to go. The race is called. Let's see if we can get a hold of it, a hold of some of the drivers. Hello, are you there? Like, we don't have JK there just yet. Let's see if we can get a hold of somebody. McLaren Tim, hello there.
Hey.
So, the race has been red flagged and won't be restarted, but that race you had for basically an hour and a half. What was that?
Yeah. What do you mean, what was that? It was just frustrating.
That was some spectacular battle. I've seen both of you having a couple of issues with traffic. Slower and faster traffic. Seen a couple of issues with Taco you had late in the race.
Yeah.
Was your
Oh man.
was your pace basically identical, or did you just get held up left, right, and center?
Our paces were identical, I think. I should have kept track position on him, but I don't know. So I did pick up some damage before the pit stop in the first stint, and I didn't realize that it was more than a little bit of damage, so it actually cost me 3 or 4 seconds in the pit stop. And then so when I was on the outlaps in the first stint, I really needed to keep up the pace, but I was running into traffic there, and that was just a mess too. So in the end, what's his name? Walker. He basically undercut me, and then so I was just chasing him, and I was just basically nonstop pushing. And then I saw 2 LMPs come by me in that little sector just before the long straight, and then basically catch up to Walker on the turn onto the last straight. Walker ended up running wide because I don't know, they went 3 wide into there or something, and I was able to take him back on the straight. And then yeah, I started losing time. Walker started catching up to me. He tried to make a move once, but yeah, we were about to have a throwdown basically, but the server went.
Yeah, I've seen you trading positions a lot, and I also saw, I don't exactly know what happened at the start when we went back. Basically, everybody was 2, 3,
Yeah.
17 wide. From the first row, did you have any issues there?
Yeah, I didn't get the starting thingy. Basically, yeah, I wasn't sure if we were actually starting or not. I went go when we were supposed to, like where the LMPs were crossing the start finish. And then yeah, I wasn't sure if we were supposed to go because everyone else was sort of in a pack near the back. So that was just really confusing. I slowed down. I ended up letting Walker by. Um, but then I realized, oh, we were supposed to go anyway. And then I had an opportunistic move on like maybe lap 4 or 5 or so, and I took the lead from Walker. And then yeah, from there it was just nonstop pushing just to try to keep the pace up.
It was great to spectate that battle. That battle lasted basically the whole race. Right, Bella, congratulations, and next time.
Thanks. So like the standings are like as they were before the server froze, right?
I believe so. We're gonna have confirmation from race control in a bit. I believe Psych has the results. We're gonna see him soon.
All right, sweet. Yeah. Whew, I need a shower, so
Enjoy the rest, man.
yeah, see ya.
What up, James?
It says one. Hi.
Hello. Congratulations with the hard-fought Daytona prototype class victory. How was the race from your perspective?
I was pretty good. It felt like a normal LMPC class victory.
Yeah, well, I was saying that your class seems like the PC class of this race, because, man, you were running interference for both classes, basically. Taco behind you struggled to overtake the GTE leaders, kind of messed that up a little bit, and you were fighting with the LMP1s.
Yeah, it was pretty scary.
So, I asked him before, and I asked you too, what happened at the start? It was so all over the place.
I don't know. I'm gonna blame the POP.
Basically, well, at least you didn't go full wide like the GT field did, but that was interesting. But yeah, kind of easy race for you, a lap gap to the only competitor of yours. Well, and I believe you classified 6th overall in front of quite a few LMP1 cars, so congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
Alright, let's see if we can get a hold of somebody else. Oh, let's see. Have another person. Why hello there, Trampel.
Hello.
So, bit of a disaster race for you. Wanted to hear your perspective on things. What happened?
Well, I hit the wall on the start pit exit. Like I touched it a tiny bit and got 180 damage, I think. So my whole engine, my whole front, and all my suspensions were gone. So I was standing in turn 1, had to go back to pits and had to wait 270 seconds to rejoin.
That is brutal. Well, and then I believe you visited pits like 4 or 5 times overall.
Yeah, I touched in turn 1. I touched the inside, also a tiny bit. Instant red front, I think like 100 damage. Then I had to pit because I was losing like 3 to 4 seconds. Last one was oh yeah, Mr. Grinder lagged into me while he was overtaking me. Then I got a red front instantly again. And then last pit was shortly before the server crashed, and I just wanted to switch to softs to have some fun.
Yeah, I definitely noticed in the last stop you didn't refuel and was fast stop, just get some damage off, and new set of tires for the end. Still a 2 lap gap to the next car. A bit unfortunate. Well, good luck to you next time, and hopefully less carnage in your way.
Yeah, thank you.
So, I think that would be it for this race. It's red flagged. The race will not be restarted. We have the unofficial results coming up in a moment. Trying to figure out what the hell just happened, so give us just a moment. We'll see if we can get any unofficial results happening. And I believe we do have some unofficial results going on, so we're gonna switch from a server to our results. And that is what we have. Here's our unofficial result. JK taking the win, 57 seconds clear of Gunsis, and almost perfectly 1 hour and 30 minutes have passed. So that's almost a perfect 90-minute race that accidentally happened. MRK claims P3 after Mr. Grinder had a bit of initial lap back. Behind them, Burb in 4th, Profit in 5th, not James, and then Mr. Grinder. And let's see, who did not finish? Thun did not finish, and Starlight, that's your LMP1 field. James winning Daytona Prototype class, followed by the Supreme Taco with not James in between, to Chevrolet Career Daytona Prototype cars. The best result in GTE field is McLaren Tim in P10. Again, this is unofficial results. It may vary because close to the end of the session, close to the red flag being waved, there was an overtake, but I'm not sure if we're gonna get rolled back to this overtake or not, so these are still unofficial results, with Walker being right next to each other this entire goddamn race, which was great to see. Zipley taking the final podium place in the GTE field, followed by Photon Burst, Sam Brown, and Echo JD14, the best GTE car in Audi R8, 8 laps down. Good performance, staying out of trouble. Cranker Tanker, another GTE Porsche 911 entry with a Swappo in the second Audi R8 in 18th. Oscar in 19th, Psychedelics in 20th, and Trempale 21st, and final car running at the red flag in the only Lamborghini Huracan. And the guys not finishing, Than after terminal damage in the collision at the exit of Sunset Bend. Huskies, Marzen, R4X, and Starlight are your non-finishers, and Nemaides is the only one not able to take the start due to technical issue. On that note, that is gonna be it for this race. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Thank you all so much for watching. This will be on YouTube in due time. But until then, this has been Phoenix Racing Club WEIMSA race at Sebring, and this is goodbye.